Hey guys, what is up? It's your boy, once a motherfucking again, back at it with some fresh drama right off the stove. First off, I have to apologize, there will be no Subway Surfer gameplay this time around, because I keep getting fucking DMC'd on YouTube. So I decided this time I'm just gonna play my own gameplay. But I know you're all here for the drama, so let's just get into it. So there I was, sitting in my room at around 1 PM on a Thursday afternoon when I had received a DM from Wubs, in which he linked a Twitch VOD and told me that I had received my first mid-sheet hater. Now, upon hearing this, I wasn't exactly surprised, because, trust me, this isn't the first time someone's hated on the mid-sheet. But I was curious nonetheless on what they had to say about the sheet, so I clicked on the VOD and it brought me onto this person's Twitch channel. Now, first off, we got a Final Fantasy related name and Final Fantasy profile picture, and believe me, we are already off to a bad start. But nonetheless, I try to keep an open mind, and I wanted to hear what they had to say. I'm sure Wubs was just over-exaggerating when he called him a hater, and I'm sure what this guy had to say was measured and well thought out, well composed. There's no way anybody would act like a jackass on Twitch.
Dude, fucking NA are so unbelievably shit at mid plans, man. I'm so glad we don't use this shit.
Fuck me, man. It's a fucking oi bruh from Gloucester. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sit through this whole thing. Disclaimer, I don't hate EU and I don't hate British people. I just think it's funny when some bloke from EU tries to shit on NA or vice versa. Like, it's a fucking video game. You're playing Final Fantasy and you're talking about PF. You're one Twinkie away from becoming like the rest of us. Settle the fuck down, man. Chill. Anyway, let's see what else he had to say.
If I had to hold my passage of arms down for a block, do you know what I would be doing? I'd be fucking dying, because I'm not fucking doing that. Clueless ass motherfucking server. And everyone's like, oh yeah, why do we come to EU to do ultimates? Because you fucking do this shit.
First off, you don't have to hold passage for block. Like, you don't need it to live. We just put it there because we want to be consistent. In an actual run, sometimes shit happens. Sometimes people forget to press their mid. How many times have you seen a melee forget to press feint? And again, I have to reiterate, the sheet is not designed for Opti. It never was. This is what we found to be the most consistent for getting people their first time clears. If you want to make changes to it, go ahead. If you don't want to use it, fine by me. I'm not gonna care. It's not like I'm holding a funnel down your fucking ass and shoving it up there. Secondly, I don't know what kind of fucking copium you're on, but nobody, I promise you, nobody is going to EU to raid.
You have a disease. Like, what the fuck is this? Rampart, Bulwark, Sheltron, Buddy Mitt Intervention. Right, okay, good one. You are fucking stupid.
Takes one to know one, dipshit.
Do you know why you're fucking stupid?
No, I'm not!
Because if you use that intervention on the dive, it means you can't mitt one of the DPS during meteors. You fucking idiot. You do not get enough gauge. You know what happens if you do that? Fucking caster dies. Or range dies.
You got me.
Well done, sir. Bravo. You have won me over with your soaring rhetoric, and I concede completely. But for the sake of my further education, why don't we look through one of your VODs, just to be sure. In front of us, I have a VOD of Requiescat called Main Tanky as Paladin, ready to put on a masterclass. Let's see how a master does it. Holy Sheltron goes out. No intervention. Superb. Beautiful. But what is a master without critics? Let's keep an eye on his oath gauge, just to be sure. Oath gauge has hit 100, next auto should be coming. He is overcapped by 5. Intervention goes out, he should be at 60 right now. 65. 70. 75. 80. 85. 90. 95. Intervention goes out, he's at 50. Pause it. Taking into account that he overcapped by 5 earlier, which wouldn't have happened if he had used intervention during Cosmic Dive, he should be sitting at 50 right now. Perfect amount for intervention. Also, the flares haven't gone off yet, so he has plenty of time to press it here. Hit play again. Flares finally snapshot. Damage goes out. Let's watch it again from when he would have gotten 50 gauge if he hadn't overcapped. I started the timer from when he would have hit 50 and ended it at when the meteor damage went out. Now, I checked in logs and the snapshot for the meteor damage is around 0.6 seconds before damage goes out. So that means that he would have had around 2 seconds to press intervention there. All of this is to say, yes, you abso-fucking-lutely have the gauge to use intervention during meteors, even if you use it on Cosmodive 2. Please, remind me again, what was it that you said?
Fucking stupid. You fucking idiot. You do not get enough gauge. You do not get enough gauge.
I don't know, Gov. Seems to me you do get enough gauge.
You fucking idiot.
What job does this guy main again? From my point of view, this guy's probably one of those jackasses that we all know at least one of. One of those incredibly opinionated dipshits that just say shit without actually backing up anything they say. In their minds, you either do it their way or you get the fuck out of town. He's probably the kind of person to get pissed at you if you don't hang your toilet paper the same way they do. No wonder he thinks you wouldn't have enough gauge when he's holding on to that shit like it's the first time he's touched a pair of breasts. Anyway, let's see what else he has to say.
Rather than just invoning Wave Cannon 1 and using Shake and Veil here, and then you have Healer 2 minutes and Temperance on or whatever here, but no, you don't have Temperance here because you fucking put both of them on Meteors for no reason. This is not how you space out mitigation.
I'm glad he brought this up because this helps make our point. Previously, Temperance actually was on Wave Cannon 2. Wanna know what happened? People shit on us for it not being on Meteors. So we moved it to Meteors, and now we got dipshits like you shitting on us for it not being on Wave Cannon 2! But most importantly, the point I want to make is that no matter what you do, you're never going to please everybody. Some fucking troglodyte such as yourself is always going to come out as bitching about how it's not to their liking. Everybody and their fucking uncle's a critic nowadays. You can't please anybody. In the end, we decided to keep it on Meteors, so that Scholar and Sage wouldn't have to change their MIT because they had Astro instead of White Mage. With our MIT sheet. I have to reiterate, this is with our MIT sheet. And again, nobody is saying, oh, you have to use it. We never claimed this was the most optimal way to MIT top. This is simply what we found to be the most consistent over helping hundreds of people clear for the first time. You can make changes to if you want. You don't have to use it. You can even dislike it. But dumb fucks like you take this beyond just a MIT sheet and you make it personal. It's just plain insecurity. You're just insecure.
Is there a credits on here? Credits. Who is this person? You better have some fucking credentials or some shit because I'm about to fucking grill the shit out of you.
Oh boy, here we go.
I am sorry, but what the fuck? Who gives you the right to tell people what to mitigate when you've done the fight 6 times in total?
This is probably my favorite part. Whenever they want to drive a point home, they always go to your logs. Saying shit like, oh, you better have some credentials. What, as if you're gonna change your mind about the whole thing if my logs were quote-unquote good. Nobody gave me the right to tell people what to mitigate. You shouldn't judge a MIT sheet based on who fucking made it, you fucking dumbass. You should judge it based on its merit and whether or not it's good objectively.
I think I have the credentials to be, you know, criticizing this a little bit.
No, actually, you don't have the credentials to criticize it, you dumb fuck. In case you haven't noticed, you're fucking nobody too. You have 60 clears, you parse on fucking Sage. You're nobody. Nobody knows who you are and nobody cares who you are. It's fucking embarrassing, man. Get off your high horse. You wanna know what the bitch of it is? I didn't even make the mid sheet. My friends who made the sheet decided to put my name there because they knew the brain-broken pheromone repellents, like yourselves, would go after them for it. I, on the other hand, have not typed a single word onto that sheet. But since you care so much about your credentials, let's see who actually made it. The mid sheet was made by these 6, who each have over 100 kills on the fight. These players are all healers and tank mains, with one player who's even cleared the fight on every single job. They got these kills from helping first time clears and C4-1s. They've done the fight more than you, and they have way more clears than you. 700 clears combined. Granted, some of the logs are repeats from being the same party. Most of them even parse better than you. Which I know you care about because you're a brain-broken parser, and you're fucking pathetic!
I can't wait to pass green because I'm with an Astro and then they fucking like make another fucking blog post about it. I don't even care that we fucking killed for these people, I'm not gonna lie. This person has a disease. Is it Wubskun? Is it fucking Wubs? If it's Wubs, I'm gonna go fucking beat his ass, because that guy doesn't know how to fucking heal in this game.
Again, I don't think resources in this game should be judged based on who made them, but rather based on the merit that they hold. And I'm gonna say this again, none of them are saying that this is the only way to mid top. None of them are claiming that this is the most optimal way to mid top. In fact, there's a lot of things that we put in there for safety. And we have a few people who managed to get rank 1 on patch using this mid cheat. That should tell you how fucking pointless parsing and the ranks that you're chasing after are. But if we're gonna go at this with your logic, you would have no credentials compared to them. You started raiding pretty much an endwalker, you don't world race, you don't hardcore prog. I even cleared top before you. You are the epitome of a Final Fantasy XIV raider. You've deluded yourself into thinking your opinions matter more than they actually do. All because you can clear the fights in this game, which I have to say, it's not that impressive. MMOs are piss easy to begin with compared to games like League of Legends or CSGO. Final Fantasy XIV? Doubly so. This is the fucking retirement home of MMOs. Borrowing from your word, you don't just have a disease, you are the fucking disease.
Want to double shield this fight? Here you go. Oh, I want to see this. Scholar Sage top.
Again, if we're gonna go off of credentials, I looked over your logs and you have what? 3 clears on double shield in 6.4? The 2 people who made this sheet have about maybe 30 kills combined in 6.3. Now, keep in mind that this sheet was not updated for 6.4, so it doesn't take into account a lot of the range changes for shit like Soil or Caracal. We haven't bothered updating it because it's not a huge priority for us, and if it worked in 6.3, then it's gonna work in 6.4. And yeah, is it optimal? Maybe not, but who the fuck cares, man? We never claimed that it's optimal.
Okay, hang on, look. How do you edit these things? Fucking stupid, man. Like, come on, use your fucking head.
This part isn't that interesting. We looked over the changes that he made, and it's literally just moving 10% around. There's stuff that we didn't agree with, but that's just how people are. You're always gonna think your own ideas are better. There's one part that I wanted to go over, and that's the P3 changes he made. Where pretty much he just put Soil and Caracal on everything.
No way. You don't have to spread load this. You have a Sage. You don't have to do that shit. You can actually just Soil again. It's crazy. I know. It's insane. Dude, look, wow. Now we have... How crazy is it? I just made it so P3 has no GCD shields.
Hey, douchebag! This sheet is from 6.3! You know how hard it was to get value out of Soil in 6.3 during P3? You pretty much only used it on Hello World and Critical Error. You couldn't just put it on every single fucking latent defect like you can now. And why the fuck are you complaining about spread load being there? It's fucking double shield in 6.3. Who gives a shit? We never said this was the optimal way to do it. You have a double shield clear from July where someone put spread load there. Someone from your ivory tower known as EU. Ultimately, it doesn't fucking matter. It's double shield. Who the fuck cares? We're not parse monkeys like you. Anyway, and then when someone from his chat correctly assumed that we haven't updated the sheet yet for 6.4, this is what he had to say.
It's not updated? It definitely is. It is updated. It is updated. They're just stupid. They keep this shit up to date, because the last edited change on it was very recent.
No, dipshit, we don't keep this shit up to date. How would you even fucking know? Isn't this supposed to be your first time seeing this shit? How the fuck would you know when we made changes to it? You can't see when or what changes were made if you don't have edit access. So why don't I just show you what changes we actually made? Here I've got the mid sheet open. I'm gonna refresh it real quick so you know that I'm not fucking with anything. And I'm gonna open it up on a second tab real quick. Give me a second. On the second tab, I'll show you the version history because I can do that because I have edit access. If you don't have edit access, you can't see this, so I don't know where he's pulling this shit from. Guy can't tell his ass from his mouth of how much bullshit he's saying. Look at that, no changes from May 8th until August. And the changes that were made were just to reformat shit. See? Look at that. P3. Everything's pretty much the same. I don't know why it says Soil, that should be Caracal, but yeah, no, everything's pretty much the same. They haven't really added anything new since 6.3 because they haven't done double shield since 6.3. And if it worked in 6.3, it's gonna work in 6.4. And who the fuck cares anyway? No one does double shield. You're just making shit up again like you did with Intervention in P6. You're getting mad at nobody and you want to make this about NA versus EU. You're a fucking loser, man. Get a life. After that, nothing really interesting happened. He just continued on shitting on the sheet and adding his own changes to it.
What? No. Wrong. Caracal. It reaches fucking everyone.
Oh, brother, man, Bill, you are so insufferable. How can anyone stand to play with you? And this is coming from me. None of this shit matters, man. This is our pre-6.4. Your fucking heals don't have 1 billion range, man. None of this shit matters, man. Holy fuck.
Yo, can we not go to NA to do top? I really don't want to do this shit, man. This sucks. This is dog shit. This is so bad.
Not to worry, my guy. No one wants you here anyway. We're not chomping at the bits to roll out the red carpet for you, believe you me. In fact... Attention players of continental Europe. We have a zero-tolerance policy on any and all foreign pathogens, none of which could prove as a detriment to and therefore threaten the health and integrity of the Aether BF. If you are found to match said description, you will be escorted off the premises, post-haste, after which you will be deported to your region of origin. Refusing to cooperate will result in addition to a hefty fine, your arrest and subsequent imprisonment. You will be given your day in court, during which you will be tried, and afterwards shot. These measures are imperative to protecting the heritage and longevity of the North American server. We thank you for your cooperation and for your understanding. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and please, stay the fuck away from NA. Anyway, moving on.
Do you know what I'm gonna do? If I go to NA, I'm gonna roll up with this. I'm just gonna start posting this in the fucking. I'm just gonna start posting this in the fucking chat and say, "This is what I'm doing. Get fucked."
Yeah, that's gonna go over real well. Look, we can barely read our own shit, and you want us to read that so we can adjust to you? Nah, fuck off, man. Get the fuck out of here. Holy shit. I took a look at his pace spin, and honestly, I'm not that impressed. Except for a few spots where we put GCD heals and shields where you really don't need it. He's just moving 10% around. And the reason why we have those things there is because we designed it for people who are newer. Because sometimes shit happens and people mess up. That way you're not wiping because dipshit McGee wanted to press one more doses instead of Eucrasian prognosis. It's also designed to be sort of an umbrella sheet where all 8 tanks and healers are interchangeable. As long as everyone else is following the sheet, you can go in on any job you want, press the same fucking buttons every single time, and expect not to die. On a case-by-case basis, yeah, for parsing it's not the most optimal for every single fucking comp, but who the fuck cares, man? We're just there to do the fight. You don't have to argue over who's mitting what. You just go in and fucking do the fight.
Everyone's like, "Oh, dude, why is there so much PF success with top and DSR on EU compared to the other servers?" Because we don't do this shit. We actually use our fucking heads when it comes to mitigation.
You are such a fucking loser, man, trying to make it about NA versus EU again. Who the fuck is saying... there's so much more PF success on EU versus the other regions. Nobody's saying that, man. Holy shit, you're making shit up again. And if they are saying that, they're just saying that because they want to believe that their region is better. They want to believe that there's such a huge difference between NA versus EU. It's pathetic. NA PFs aren't not clearing because they're dying of damage, you fucking dumbass. They're dying because of mechanical execution. Out of curiosity, I watched a bit of your stream. God knows I'm not going to do that anymore. And you guys are dying to the same shit. You're dying to P3 rot, you're dying to P4 swaps, you're dying to P5 delta, sigma, omega, you're dying to P6 exas. I saw a VOD of yours recently where you went an entire lockout in top without going past P5 delta. It's the same shit, but different region. For the record, I don't think NA is necessarily better than EU. I don't think the vice versa is true either. I know amazing players from both regions, which you, unfortunately, are not one of them. And of course, there are shitters too in both regions. And of course, NA has over double the players EU has, so of course there's going to be more players playing in PF on NA, so that means you're going to hear more horror stories about NA. There's like, what, 20 players on EU? So of course you're going to think there's more success on EU, because you're just playing with the same 7 people every time. I'm making a joke, of course, but it's just plain confirmation bias. You think NA is worse, and you want to feel superior, and obviously you're compensating for something. You hear about people having a bad time on NA, and let's be honest to ourselves, most of the time people who complain about that shit are the people causing the problems in the first place. And you're choosing to ignore all the bad parties that you've had on EU. But if you really want, we can look at actual numbers. On screen, I'm showing you the dataset that I pulled from Lucky Boncho, which shows the clear rate of top and abyssals from each region and data center. I've then taken the number of clears of each world of their respective region and added them together in a Google Sheet. On EU, there are 19,416 clears of abyssals, while NA has double that at 39,871. Taking a look at top, EU is sitting at 1,468. NA, 3,298. While it's impossible to know how many of these clears came from a PF versus a static, you can safely assume that both regions will follow the same trend since the dataset is so large. Obviously, we can't look at these numbers by totality since NA has double the players EU has. But if you were to look at the percentage of how many people clear top after clearing abyssals, NA beats out EU at 8.27% versus 7.56%. Do these numbers necessarily mean anything? At least in regards to which region is better. No, I don't think so. The difference is so small, it doesn't really hold any significance. And I'm saying that even though NA is beating EU here. All I'm saying is that there's no empirical evidence to at all suggest that one region is better than the other when it comes to PF. Every person I've spoken to who's not a superior little dingleberry who's played on both regions has said the same thing to me. Other than your region's weird aversion to doing clear for once because you think it's like buying a clear, which I'm not going to get into here, but I think you guys are fucking weird for that. There's no difference between the two regions. It's the same shit, different week.
We don't do 611. We don't need to do 611. You know why we don't need to do 611? Because we actually spread our mitt out properly in P6 and P7. The only reason NA does 611 is because the healers want to parse. They have no fucking reason for doing that shit.
This is really the last thing I want to address, which is his weird obsession with 611 and DSR. First off, amazing voice crack. Love it. Huge fan. His statement that 611 is only for parsing is just not true. Again, we do it for safety because it makes P7 so much easier to heal for healers in P7. Not everyone's a parse monkey like this guy is. Yeah, it makes it a little harder for tanks in P6 because they have to be the one to set it up, but how many times have you died in P7 to second Akmorn because maybe your healer is new, or maybe they missed something, or maybe a mid is missing? And also, this frees up mid that we would have put on Akmorn that we can put on Gigaflare, which also hurts a lot. 611, objectively, is better for healers in P7. His statement that 611 is only for parsing, it doesn't really make sense, considering that we put GCD heals and shields places where we may not need it for safety. Ultimately, I don't think he believes that EU doesn't need 611 because they space out mid better. I think it ties back to parsing, and he's just butthurt because his region doesn't do 611.
We don't need 611 at all. I guess it helps healers parse. But who the fuck gives a fuck about healers?
Every time he brings up 611, it's about parsing.
Yeah, like right at the start of fucking PF, we tried to make it standards and people couldn't do it, so we didn't do it.
By his own admission, they tried to make it standard on EU, but his region couldn't do it. His region can do 611. Now he sits there coping about how EU is better because EU knows how to space out mid better, so they don't need 611. But if you knew how to space out mid better, your tanks would know how to do 611. But in the end, it's not even about that. He hates 611 because his region doesn't do it, so he can't parse. It all goes back to parsing, and it all goes back to Wubs.
Is it Wubs, kun? Is it fucking Wubs? If it's Wubs, I'm gonna go fucking beat his ass, because that guy doesn't know how to fucking heal in this game.
Here, let me pull up FFXIV and show you something. I promise you, this will be really funny. Let's go to Ultimates. Dragon Song's Reprise, ranking. Let's rank by damage. All jobs. Sage. And let's look at 6.3. Oh, look at that. He lost to Wubs. Now let's look at 6.4. There he is, losing to Wubs again. This guy has been losing to Wubs for 2 fucking patches in a row, and he's mad. He's mad. You know what? Let's look at 6.28. Look at that. There he is. Losing to Wubs yet again. Every time you bring up parsing and DSR, it's always about Wubs and how he only beats you because he's using 611 and how he's a shit healer. We've even got people from LPDU telling us how you won't stop coping about Wubs and 611. You're a fucking obsessed fan. You can't keep him out of your mouth. I get it, dude. I totally get it. You feel emasculated because he beat you in 6.28 by 107 RDPS. And then he did it again in 6.3 by 70 RDPS. And then again in 6.4 by 200 RDPS. He did it on a job with no raid buffs, and wow, 200 RDPS difference? On a healer? He only could have done this with 611, of course! In the end, there's nothing else I really want to say except that I think you should cut back on your weird obsession with our region. This region tribalism is stupid. It's even dumber than MMO tribalism like WoW versus Final Fantasy XIV. As far as I can tell, nobody on NA really hates EU. And plus, we have a lot of players from EU playing on NA. You just sound like a fucking loser when you try and make it about NA versus EU. If someone from NA did what you did, I would call them a fucking loser too. My final advice to you is just to watch what you say before you say something you'll regret.
No. Whoa, whoa!
It's over. Bros,
Dude.
I can't believe this. Who ran in early?
This fucking...
Oh.